Hello students. Now in this video we are going to discuss how we detect the charges on a body. On a body or on a substance. For this we people or scientists develop some arrangement or some equipment known as your gold leaf spectroscope, by which we can easily detect that whether a given body is charged or not. How we find? Let's start. So as you are observing on screen, now we have a figure. This figure is somehow it's look like your gold leaf spectroscope. This container is act as a gold leaf spectroscope for finding the charge, and this thing is your base of wooden base. This is actually it's a wooden base. Now in this case we are going to discuss first construction, then working of the gold leaf electroscope. This system is known as your gold leaf electroscope, or in short it's a GLE, gold leaf electroscope. Now come to the point, what is the construction? In this case we have a transparent, or made, you can say it's made a transparent container which is tightly packed with some insulator. This one, clear? And wire is inserted. What is the wire? Let me explain. In this case, first, this is your tin foils that just attached the wall of the container and the base of the container. This is your tin foil. Clear? This is a tin foil, and this is a brass rod. Clear? This is your brass rod. Come to this part also this one, not this one. This is your brass rod, or made by some brass. Clear? Above this we have a brass strip, or we can say it's a brass cap. Clear? It's a brass cap. It's a something insulated seal. This is brass rod. Means all things made by brass except this one. This is your gold leaf. Clear? This is your gold leaf. This is your wooden base. Now this is the structure of your you can say construction of gold leaf electroscope. Now how it's work? Whenever we try to find out that whether a body is charged or not, we bring that body nearer to the brass cap, and almost we touch the brass cap. Let me rub the labeling so that you can easily understand the concept. Wait, let me pause the video first. Okay, now how we observe? Take first, it is electrically neutral. There is no charge entire system of gold leaf electroscope. In this, now if we bring a charged body, say it's a charged glass rod, we don't know that glass rod is charged or not, but if we bring this glass rod and touches the brass cap, sorry for some disturbance is there. One person make me a call. Now, if a charged glass rod is touches the brass cap, what we know that this charged glass rod having positive charges means there is a deficiency of electron. As soon as we touches the charged glass rod, this is charged one, na? Charged glass rod. As soon as we touches the brass cap, what happened? In this case, there is a deficiency of electron. Here we have sufficient amount of electron to come. As soon as this come in contact with brass cap, this also behave like a system of this one. So to fulfill their electron, fulfill the deficiency of electron moves from this side towards the glass rod. Free electrons moves towards the glass rod. Remember this thing, free electrons moves from brass towards the glass rod. Then this causes again a deficiency of electron on the brass disc. Deficiency of electrons in the brass disc. I am explaining very simply that deficiency of electron of this glass rod is tried to fulfill by this brass. First from the brass disc, then again there is a deficiency of electron on this disc. To complete the deficiency of electron on the disc, electrons move from the brass strip or brass rod towards the brass cap. Now what we observe that ultimately there is a deficiency this side over here, because everything moves further. So there is a deficiency of this side on a brass strip, and this brass strip as well as this gold leaf is now electrically charged or positively charged, because there is deficiency of electrons in both the strip. They have positive charge, so they move away from each other. Previously it was look like this one, clear, but though they contain both same charges, they move away. Though this is a rigidly fixed, it is a single body, this gold leaf is attached, so it moves to away from the brass. I think this is clear to you. Once again let me clear. This has a deficiency of electron. As soon as when touch this to the brass cap of the gold leaf, electron moves from this part to this part. Again this disc has a deficiency of electron. To fulfill the deficiency of electron, electrons move from this end towards the cap. Now again at the end we have a deficiency of electron on the brass strip. Similarly, electrons move from this gold leaf towards to fulfill this requirement. Both have a deficiency of electron, so there is a repulsion of leaf. Now the same thing occur for the negative charges. If negative charge body touch the brass cap, so in large amount of electron moves from this to this side, and they make the same charges negative, and they again we have a repulsion. So from this equipment we can easily find out that whether a body is charged or not. Clear? This is the working of electron. This gold leaf electroscope, this gold leaf electroscope is failed because it is practically unable to find out the type of charges. Though there is a lots of conclusion about that we can judge by this, but actually it's not possible. So nowadays we are unable, only simply reading for the clearing the concept. Okay, move to the next topic. There is charging by charging method. How we charge a body by conduction, I am explaining you in brief. Suppose we have some metal sphere placed on a wooden stand, and we are going to charge this one. Say this is a copper sphere. No, this is made, this is your copper one, copper sphere, and we are going to make it with some charge. So suppose we are going to give this with a negative charge. It's a charge of, then we use some charged rod. In this case we used charged ebonite rod. As we know that ebonite rod having negative charge, and make a contact of this charged rod to the sphere for some time. Now what we observe that there is a there is a more amount of electrons in ebonite rod. Those electrons move from this to the sphere to make the sphere negative charged sphere. Clear? This is one way, but remember in both the cases they make a physical contact. We must make them a physical contact, means that charged ebonite rod must touches with the copper sphere. Same thing, but in this case electron move from ebonite rod towards the sphere. If we touches the sphere with some positive charged rod like glass rod, what happened? In this case, in case of glass rod, we have a deficiency of electron, so electron moves from copper sphere towards the glass rod, and again here we have a deficiency of electron. Likewise, we can charge. Now by using this contact we can easily charge copper sphere by some charged rod. This is one way. Definition says that the phenomena due to which a conductor gets charged when brought in contact with a charged body is called conduction. Hope this thing is clear to you. Now move to the most important part, charging a body by induction. In many books, charging a body by induction given in a very typical way. I am going to explain you in a very simple way, but you have to follow the process very carefully. In this case we take two metal sphere, they fixed, they keep it at such that they come in contact with each other. Clear? There are two metal spheres, say copper metals and on two different bases, but they are in contact with each other. Now bring a ebonite rod, a charged ebonite rod, means charged negative charged rod, towards one end, say one of the spheres, say sphere A. And keep this charged ebonite rod just little bit away from the sphere A, need not to make any contact. After some times, this electron from this ebonite rod try to move towards the sphere A, because this has a less amount of electron as compared to ebonite rod, but though there is no contact, there is no movement. But as we know that same charges repel each other and opposite charges attract each other, so negative charge of this ebonite rod attracts all the positive charge from both the sphere, and all the positive charge come towards this end of the sphere, that is sphere A. Though there is no movement of electrons neither from ebonite to sphere nor from sphere to ebonite, because there is no physical contact, but there is a physical contact between these two spheres, and there is a negative charged rod. Negative charged rod attract all the positive charge of both the sphere, as well as these negative charges repel the negative charges of the sphere A. So negative charges of sphere A moves towards this side, clear, as well as all the positive charge come to this side. So all the negative charges or charges of sphere B stay in this B. Now, this type of charging is known as induction because there is no contact but charge develops within a body. Now, if we separate both the sphere by keeping the ebonite rod at the same position, if we separate sphere B, what we observe that sphere B is completely charged with negative and sphere A is completely charged with positive charge, though there is no contact between charged body and previously neutral sphere A and B. So this is a method of induction. Hope this one is clear to you. If you read the book, now you are able to understand those languages. Languages are a little bit typical, so I already explained in a simple way. So move to the next part, that is your atmospheric electricity. As we know that lightning is a dazzling bluish light. Lightning is a dazzling bluish light occurred during when there is a cloud. It's a dazzling bluish light. How this bluish light is produced? Actually, this is a spark of electric charges. Benjamin Franklin, a renowned physicist, proved with the help of that kite and silk thread and key experiment that they are nothing but clouds. Clouds are electrically charged. That's why we are receiving clouds are electrically charged during those rainy days. That's why there is a sparking. Question arises how those clouds get electrically charged. There is no one those who rub the charged cloud. So how those charged clouds get electrically charged? For this we discuss this thing. As we know that with the heat of sun, atmospheric air makes itself lighter one. They move upward. Atmospheric air move upward, and more colder hot air move upward. You can easily say hot air move upward during the daylight, and cold air from the top moves downward. So if during this movement there is a friction or rubbing against each other, this air as soon as come in contact with earth, they electrically neutral, but hot air moves upward side, they are not electrically neutral. Their charges developed on these particles remain them. These air particles during condensation forms cloud, and charges within them make the clouds charged one. This is a very simple concept. In your book or in every book it's written over there, due to the heat of sun, the warm air and water vapors rises up. Similarly, the cold air above sinks down. When the air molecules rub against water molecules, or the cold currents of air rubs against the hot currents of air, this is the main part. Cold current of air rubs against hot current of air. Due to the friction of electron, air get transferred due to the friction, the electrons of air get transferred to water molecule or vice versa. All this depends upon atmospheric condition. When the condensation takes place and a cloud forms, then clouds have a huge amount of static electric charges, which may be positive, may be negative. And when same type of charged cloud come closer to each other, there is a sparking. And in case of lightning, as we know that when lightning falls on the earth, they produce some large damage on our buildings, on our monuments. So for protection of those buildings, we use lightning conductor, which absorb the charges from the cloud and buried those charges inside the ground, because earth is a large sink of charges. How much charges we enter into the buried into the earth never be a charged one. So hope this thing is clear to you. Move to the, you must read all these things. Even there is a lightning conductor. Now move to the current electricity part. In current electricity, it says sometimes electric current move from one place to other place. Such type of electricity is known as your current electricity, where charges flow from one end to other end of the system. There is a two type of current: electric current, conventional current, and electronic current. Sorry, a conventional current flows from the positive charged body towards the negative charged body. This is about positive one, positive charged body towards the negative charged body. This is your conventional current. Clear? The positive charged body is at a higher potential and negative charged body is at lower potential. That's why charges move from positive to negative. But electronic current, or what is the actual current, says that actual current flows from negative charged body towards the positive charged body. This is your actual current. Negative charge, that is electron, moves from negative charged body towards the positive charged body because there is a deficiency of electron. This is at higher potential of electron. This is the actual flow. Clear? From higher potential to lower potential. So this is the flow of electronic current. This is real flow of electric current. This is a conventional flow that we thinking few years ago. So that's all for this today's video. In next video we discuss about basic component of electricity. Thank you.